normally do anticipated reads videos, especially not in a low spend year. It's just better for me not to know what's coming out. However, I have seen that there's a number of authors that are coming out with books, authors that I love, authors that I want to try, and then I've just ended up down a rabbit hole on the internet, like we do, and found a bunch of books I'm excited about. So it's going to be a series. We're going to do anticipated reads each quarter. I know there's a lot of booktubers who do anticipated reads. That's part of why I never did them. It's a lot of research and it can be never ending because there are so many books that come out. I actually had to force myself to stop looking. So I just really want to, something that I do enjoy about different booktubers bringing out anticipated reads lists is that I hear about books that I might not hear about because maybe it's a different interest area or, you know, a different author that I wouldn't normally be, you know, gravitate towards. And so I'm hoping that my curated list would be, you know, maybe bring some new and exciting titles onto your list, some new authors, some new publishers that you might be interested in, and also just kind of a record for myself of what I was anticipating and if I read them. As we know, I have a large backlist library that I need to get to. Some of these authors, I have some backlist books to get to from them. So while we go through this list, I'm going to let you know if I have access to read them. I'm coming out a little late with this. I was hoping to get it in early January, but that just didn't happen. And like I said earlier, I had to make myself stop looking for books or looking at lists and publishers. I will let you know, there are two that I pre-ordered at the end of last year when I found out they were coming out. I'm gonna try not to pre-order, but there are some that are very tempting coming up in quarters 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, let's just get into the list. I will be putting up pictures of them. I don't have any with me. So the first one that is already out by the time you see this is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austen that came out on January 13th. Darcy's life turned out better than she could have ever imagined. She is a librarian at the local branch, while her wife Joy runs a bookbinding service. Between the two of them, there is no more room on their shelves with their ample book collections, various knickknacks and baubles, and dried bouquets. Rounding out their ideal life is 2 cats and a sun-soaked house by the lake. But when Darcy receives the news that her ex-boyfriend Ben has passed away, she spirals into a pit of guilt and regret, resulting in a mental breakdown and medical leave from the library. When she returns to work, she is met by unrest in her community and protests surrounding intellectual freedom. So Emily Austen is an author that I've enjoyed 2 of her books. This is going to be her 4th book. So I've read the first 2 books that she came out with. I still have the We Could Be Rats book that I need to read. I did get approved to read this book on NetGalley, which I still hope to review on NetGalley. I just am so far behind on the arcs that I have. But I'm looking forward to this. Emily Austen handles mental health rep, I think, really well. And, you know, her books can be emotional and they can be hard to read sometimes. But it's real life, and I have a great appreciation for that. The second book I'm excited about is coming out on January 20th, which is the day you're seeing this, and I pre-ordered it. Yes, I did. I did, because it is Alice Feeney. She's coming out with My Husband's Wife. If anyone new here, Alice Feeney is one of my favorite authors. And I was fortunate enough to get to go to an event last year around this time when she came out with Beautiful Ugly. And she's delightful. Her books are really weird and dark and such a delightful woman. And funny, she's hilarious, but she comes out with these very dark and twisty books, and I love it. So this one's about Eden Fox, an artist on the brink of her big break, sets off for a run before her first exhibition. When she returns to the home she recently moved into, called Spyglass, an enchanting old house in Hope Falls, nothing is as it should be. Her key doesn't fit. A woman, eerily similar to her, answers the door, and her husband insists that the stranger is his wife. One house, one husband, two women, someone is lying. The synopsis went into more, and I honestly didn't read it because I didn't want to know. A lot of times with thrillers, synopses just give away too much. But one of the things that I really like about Alice Feeney's writing is that she really makes the setting its own character. In Beautiful Ugly, it was an island. In Rock, Paper, Scissors and Daisy Darker, they were both houses mainly that just kind of become its own character, have personalities and features that are brought into the story and play a part in some twist and turn. So like I said, I pre-ordered this. I've gotten a notification that it's been shipped, and so I'm excited. I'm going to read it when I get it. Also out on the 20th is A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James. Simone St. James, I've read which one did I read? The Broken Girls is the one I read, and I really, really liked it. I have several of her other books. I just haven't gotten to them yet, which is part of why I did not pre-order this book. I'm not pre-ordering books that I have a lot of their other books to read still on my TBR. At least I'm trying not to. A Box Full of Darkness is listed to be her Simone St. James' scariest, most shocking novel. In this pulse-pounding story about siblings who return to the house they fled 18 years before, called back by the ghost of their long-missing brother and his haunting request, come home. Again, the synopsis had a lot more. I didn't read it further. A house, siblings. Yeah, I'm here for it. So another one that caught my interest is called No One You Know by Emma Tortolot. Also out on the 20th. It was compared to Alison Esbach, who wrote The Wedding People, which was my favorite book of last year, and Claire Lombardo. It's a thought-provoking novel about the fraught bond between mothers and teen daughters, the ripple effects of a tragic event in a small town, and the search for meaning after loss. What if the only way forward is to let go of everything you know? So this one is about a family. The teenage daughter, her friend, passes away, and it's how that grief impacts everyone in the family as a whole, how everybody deals with the grief. And so it really caught my attention for the grief themes, honestly, but also comparing it to Alison Esbach and Claire Lombardo. I have been approved for this on NetGalley, so I'm hoping to get to it really soon. Like I said, I'm a little behind on my NetGalley. Okay, so the next one I was tempted to pre-order, but I didn't. I limited myself last year when I heard about it because I did read this author's book, one of her books, in 2025, and it was on my best of list. I ended up listening to the audiobook, and so I'm trying to get better about not having physical copies of books that I just end up listening to the audiobook. We'll see how that goes. But I'm talking about Rashonda Tate, and on January 27th, she is coming out with a new book. It's called With Love from Harlem, a novel of Hazel Scott. So she wrote The Queen of Sugar Hill, which was about Hattie McDaniel, and it's basically historical fiction featuring Black women in America. And she really told the story well for Hattie McDaniel. So I'm excited about this one. So this one is inspired by beloved Harlem jazz performer Hazel Scott. And the equal parts exhilarating and tumultuous, that's a hard word for me, relationship that changed the course of her life. So Harlem, 1943, at just 23, Hazel Scott is a woman on fire, a jazz prodigy, a glamorous film star, and a fierce advocate for civil rights. She's breaking barriers and refusing to play by the rules. Then Adam Clayton Powell Jr. walks into her life. Harlem's most electrifying preacher turned politician, Adam is as bold and unyielding as Hazel, charismatic, powerful, and married. So it's going to talk about their decade-long relationship that propels them into the center of a political and cultural revolution. Hazel's star is rising, and Adam takes the national stage in Congress, and the couple becomes the toast of the country. When their affair turns into a marriage, behind the glamorous facade is a battlefield of ego, ambition, and sacrifice. There was a good bit of similar themes in The Queen of Sugar Hill, and so I'm really looking forward to this one. Also out on January 27th is Paper Cut by Rachel Taff. This is a debut. It's also, so I have it via NetGalley. It's also the February book pick for my In Real Life book club. And I think the author is going to be at the event, or the book club meeting, I think. So Paper Cut is a page-turning suspense debut about a woman infamous for escaping a cult as a teenager who finds her future threatened when dangerous secrets come back to haunt her. Perfect for fans of Jessica Knoll and The Girls. Everyone knows the story, but nobody knows the truth. Cult novels, I'm in for it. So out on February 10th is a book called Everyday Movement by Gigi Luong. This is a novel that follows the lives of two women as democracy starts to crumble in Hong Kong. On a weekend morning, college roommates Ali and Panda wake up with very different reactions to the night before. They have been chased and tear-gassed in the streets of their city after joining tens of thousands of others to protest a national security law that would effectively spell the end of democracy in Hong Kong. Ale can't get out of bed, her heart heavy with the lingering images of the police and the violence on the streets, and her worries about the future. Panda, whose resistance is no less ardent, puts on a sundress, lines her eyes, and urges Ali to join her for brunch. And so then it follows them as the demonstrations continue in their town, and trying to still go about life, and different reactions to what's going on. I'm really, really interested in that. Like I said, I do have it on NetGalley. This is the other pre-order. I'm so excited about this one. Tayari Jones, one of my favorites, is coming out with a book called Kin on February 24th. And this is about Vernice and Annie, two motherless daughters raised in Honeysuckle, Louisiana, have been best friends and neighbors since earliest childhood, but are fated to live starkly different lives. Raised by a fierce aunt determined to give her a stable home in the wake of her mother's death, Vernice leaves Honeysuckle at 18 for Spelman College, where she joins a sisterhood of powerfully connected Black women and discovers a world of affluence, manners, aspiration, and inequality. Annie, abandoned by her mother as a child and fixated on the idea of finding her and filling the bottomless hole left by her absence, sets off on a journey that will take her into a world of peril and adversity, as well as love and adventure, culminating in a battle for her life. Tayari Jones is just an incredible writer. It's been a minute since she came out with a book, so I'm very excited about this one. And like I said, pre-ordered, had to do it. So the next one is a celebrity memoir that I don't normally read celebrity memoirs. They're just not really my thing. So I've read some of people that I'm really interested in, or that I followed their careers or whatever. But this one has caught my attention because of the disability aspects. And this is You with the Sad Eyes by Christina Applegate, and it's out on March 3rd. Christina Applegate was in Married with Children, which is a show that was pretty popular when I was younger. Her character was objectified, and from what I've heard, that had a lot of impact on her mental health, which I can imagine. She has continued to act and has been in some great movies and shows, and I can't remember the show that I watched recently in the 2000s, at least like 2020, 2019. I'll put the title here. She's a grieving widow. And in 2021, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And the memoir it covers her acting and some of the things that she was dealing with being at a young age, being so successful, and the pressures that she experienced, and then also dealing with her diagnosis of multiple sclerosis and how it impacted her life, really. Then on March 10th, The Best Dog in the World, Essays on Love by Alice Hoffman. So it's basically authors writing essays about their love of dogs, and it contains stories by Isabel Allende, Bonnie Garmis, Roxane Gay, Emily Henry, Anne Leary, Jodi Picoult, Elizabeth Strout, Amy Tan, just a lot of authors that I've enjoyed. So I'm really interested in reading that. Did not pre-order it. I was good. But we'll see. And then the next fiction book is All the World Can Hold by Jun Yoon. Comes out on March 10th. I've read Jun Yoon before, and I think it was called Oh Beautiful, and it was a 3-star book for me. So not my favorite, but I'm curious. The synopsis kind of has me interested. So we'll see. It's about just after September 11th, 2001, Franny and her husband have traded in their elegant Park Avenue co-op for a suite on board the Sonata, a once glittering cruise ship with a complicated history now long past its prime. Though they're not cruise people, Franny is determined to host the trip as planned because it's her mother's 70th birthday. A major rite of passage celebrated by Korean families. But as her husband keeps pointing out, Franny and her mother aren't close, and it is surreal, even wrong, to be on a cruise as the death toll from the attacks on 9/11 continue to rise. And then there's a couple other people on board that they get involved with. Also out on March 10th is a book called Westward Women by Alice Martin. This was compared for fans of Emma Cline, Emily St. John Mandel, and Margaret Atwood. Sign me up. It starts with an itch. In homes across the country, women ages 18 to 35 begin to slow down. Tired, blank, restless, drawn to the Pacific Ocean like it's calling them home, they abandon their lives, jobs, families, their very selves, and once they reach the West, they vanish forever. Oh my gosh. At the center of the story are three young women caught in the pull of something unstoppable. Amy follows the trail of her missing best friend to a man called the Piper, known for leading infected women west. Teeny, afflicted and unraveling, clings to a single memory as she looks out the window of the Piper's van. And Eve, a former journalist, is chasing the story that might just consume her. Each on the edge of transformation, drawn toward the unknown, in search of a way forward. Honestly, dystopian novels, I will try. I will try them. And then there is a middle grade coming out on March 10th by one of my favorites, Jamie Sumner. It's called Glory Be. A girl searches for her lost dog and truths about her family in this heartwarming, poignant illustrated novel in verse by Jamie Sumner. Disappeared, vanished, vamoosed. Glory has the best dog in the world. Rue wags his tail so hard, his whole round little body shakes. He touches his nose to hers like E.T. Rue is always there for her, but now he's gone, and Glory is worried her dad had something to do with it. Her dad's been getting into trouble since the day Glory was born. Now it's worse than worse. As she searches all over New Orleans for her lost pup, Glory discovers some things about her city and herself. Enough to make her wonder, how do you know when to hang on to the ones you love and when to let them go? Always excited to read a new Jamie Sumner. So a short story collection that's coming out on March 24th is Python's Kiss by Louise Erdrich. It says that these were written over the past 2 decades. They're a magnificent story collection featuring a range of characters, a tribal newsletter editor whose son tells her a story that nothing in her experience can encompass, immigrant farmers whose tenuous hold on the earth and sanity is challenged, and ordinary people, bird lovers, artists, grade school teachers, and romantics. A girl decides to spend her life with a stone, a man is confronted with a folk singing thief, and a woman enters a corporately owned afterlife to seek revenge on her father. Yeah, definitely interested in that one. It does include some artwork by Louise Erdrich's daughter, so that'll be really cool as well. Another nonfiction out on March 24th is Light and Thread by Hong Kong. It says, in this light-filled and multifaceted book, Hong Kong draws together the threads of her work and life, tracing the connections between her interior and exterior worlds through a sequence of essays, poems, photographs, and diaries brilliantly translated by Maya West and E. Yuang and Paige Anya Morris. So it's a book of reflections of words and light. It has at its heart the tiny north-facing courtyard garden at her home, cultivating solely through the reflective sunlight of the mirrors, which she must move throughout the day as the earth turns on its axis. It includes a poem written at 8 years old. Yeah, it just sounds really cool. I've read one of Hong Kong's novels and really liked it. I really want to get more into her work. And then the last one I'm going to share is coming out on March 31st. It's another nonfiction, and it is called How to Be Okay When Nothing Is Okay. Tips and Tricks That Kept Me Alive, Happy, and Creative in Spite of Myself by Jenny Lawson. If you've ever read Jenny Lawson, she's hilarious. And she writes about marriage, motherhood, mental health issues, the world, society, just all the things in very humorous ways. This one, even the first sentence of the synopsis, Jenny Lawson is full of contradiction. She's a celebrated author who battles self-doubt, paralysis, and anxiety. She's an award-winning humorist, but struggles with treatment-resistant depression. The questions people most often ask her are, how do you do it? How do you keep going even when it feels impossible? How do you keep creating? This book is her answer. And so she shares more than 100 humorous, heartfelt, and genuine tools and tricks that she relies on to keep her going, even when her brain isn't working properly due to depression, anxiety, and ADHD. She offers tips to stay passionate and focused on creative endeavors, especially when everything around you is saying to give up. So that sounds really interesting to me. I follow her on Instagram, and she just has a way of saying what a lot of us are feeling when the world is so heavy, and then also things happening in personal lives. And so I probably will listen to that one on audio as well. I've listened to some of her other books on audio, and she's hilarious. So that was 16 books that are coming out in the first 3 months of 2026. All I'm excited about, I'm going to request them from my library or find audiobooks and hopefully get to some of them soon. Let me know in the comments below if you are excited about any of these books, or if you know of any other ones that are coming out that you're super excited about. Let me know in the comments what you've read so far this year. If you'd like to follow along with this series, please hit the subscribe button. I'll be coming to you at the beginning of each quarter and sharing some of the books that I found online through my various searches of what's coming out and exciting new books. I know coming up, for me personally, my favorite authors, there's a nonfiction book of essays coming out by Jesmyn Ward. There's a new book by Emily St. John Mandel. I mean, we've been waiting for this for a minute. There's a new book by Claire Fuller coming out. So I'm super excited about the publishing year for 2026. Hopefully I'll read some of those and some of my backlist books. Let's hope, right? I hope y'all are doing well. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon. Bye.